How's it going, everyone? It's Geoff Chrysler here, a detail enthusiast, here with your next installment of my BN1 restoration. And here she is. Lots of work done this week, over the last 2 weeks I guess now. I was away last weekend. But as you can see, she's down on her wheels now for the first time. Got some new things in the mail, so I'll take you through installing those new things. But just to point out, I did put in my battery box lid, which I had trimmed in fresh Armacord a couple years ago, so it's just been sitting on a shelf all this time. So, and of course it'll get some lift the dot snaps that go in the bottom straps here. Just got to put the studs in still. And also I put in my parcel tray, which allows me to hook up the fresh air cable. So here's the cable coming through the firewall here, and it links up to this lever that works the valve to open up the fresh air pipe. And here's the parcel tray, and of course the fresh air, you can see it from the top view. Parcel tray is covered in a piece of Carvel carpet. Cable comes through, goes through that little brass clip and to the handle. And of course the fresh air hose fills this air box, which runs along the firewall, and then there's little vents that come and blow on your feet here. Give you a little bit more circulation. So there she is. It's painted in the dark satin brown that all the metal work for the interior on 100s and even early BN4s, it seems to be a Longbridge practice that all of the interior components were painted this dark brown. That included all the steel pieces, I mean. Anyway, so also today, I got these few things in the mail last night. So I've got a proper screw type of brake light switch. The one that I had on there was a more modern one, so changing it out for the earlier style. And I got some shock links. I was needing those. Some rubber boots for all of the ground or battery cables, where they go onto the starting solenoid, and also for the switch. And some nuts and lock washers for the brake flex hoses to lock them in position. Oh, and we got some of these light bulb fixtures for the backs of the gauges, which I was missing a bunch of. Of course, when I have the car judged for concourse, I'm gonna obviously have regular standard Lucas bulbs in place, but for after that, I am going to probably convert the whole car over to these LEDs for a number of reasons. One, they're much brighter, so you're easier seen. And two, they draw so much less power on the battery. And one thing hundreds are notorious for is these old generators, which I am running my original old generator. I've had it totally rebuilt with new field windings and everything, so it should be good to go for another X amount of years. But if you're ever caught in a rainstorm in 100 and you got the wipers going and the headlights, all the lights on, and this generator can't keep up, and you're just going to eventually drain your battery. So for running all of the accessories in those cases, the less draw, the better. So I think those lights are going to make a big difference. So yeah, once I get all that in place, which like I say, will be a little later on in the car's evolution, it'll be nice to have. So anyway, let's get into installing some of this stuff. So here we can install this brake light switch. So just feed this booty onto the battery cable here. And back on lock washer and the nut. And there you go. Now, also among the new things I got in the mail the other day, I got some of the various wires that I can use to finish off my dash wiring. This came in from British Wiring, so they sell it by the foot in any color you need, so I was able to get the exact ones I needed there, as well as the woven battery cable and the braided ground cable for making up my battery and ground straps. Now, one thing I have had to do in a number of places, the harness that I got came with, I'd say 95% of these bullet connectors were already installed, but there were a number of places that they were missing. So I bought a bag of the little bullets, and to install them, it's really easy. You just bare the end of the wire, pop the bullet on, and then I just touch it with the end of my propane torch to heat it up, and then drizzle a bit of solder into the tip of it, and it just solders it on there really nicely. Really simple. So I had to do that in 5 or 6 little spots. So you can see here I did solder up the gauge bulbs. So using some of that red wire that I got from British Wiring, and soldered them to the little bulb holders on the backs of the gauges. So I got that all done, and of course the brown and blue wire that I had to link from the starter, from the ignition switch to the light switch, I should say. So that's all finished. And so yeah, the dash wiring is basically done now. Okay, so I'm gonna now make up these battery and ground cables. So that's just hanging on there. I've marked the length of this one with a bit of chalk, and I'm just gonna cut it with my side cutters like that. And so this will be the battery to battery switch cable. So I just want to carefully get that all into an end here like that. And I'm just gonna put it in my vise briefly. And I'll be using some of this solder here. Just tee up the end here. It's in there nice. Very good. Okay, so we'll get that in there, and same process, we'll heat it up and drizzle some solder in there. Wrong one. Okay, so that's a battery to switch cable all soldered up. We'll let that cool down, and then I'm gonna mask off and paint the end to make it look like the lead that these were originally cast in. Now I can carry on with the other ones. So again, I've marked this where it needs to be cut. This is going to be the battery to battery cable, so it'll have a pair of positive and negative helmets on it. So again, I can cut that off with my side cutters. There we go. And can peel back. This stuff moves quite easily, which is nice, and just peel it back some. We'll be able to pull it back over the soldering joint afterwards. So for the end here, I'm just gonna bare the end. So just cut through the plastic casing. So as I pull this off, I like to twist it to get a nice twist on the wire. And using the pliers with that really helps to do that. So now that wire is nicely twisted, I can pop the end on here and solder it in place. So now I'm going to take a clean, fresh rag and some of this grease and wax remover. And just clean up this whole end. And of course, again, mask off the insides entirely. I like to just stick a little piece in there. Okay, so these are all ready to go. I've prepped them. I'm just gonna give them a should note this is a paint and primer in one, so goes on quite nicely, gets quite good coverage. So we'll just leave those to dry. And now the rubber boot can go on. There. So now it's ready to bolt to the starter solenoid. Although I think I'm going to wait until the engine is in place, and then I can cut this to the exact lengths it needs to be to reach the starter without too much excess. But one end is done at least, so that guy will go on there. Okay, now these are dry, so we can peel off the masking tape. Okay, and we can pull this stuff down. And now we'll finish it off with some cloth tape. A couple wraps around the actual wire, and should be good. So there's a finished terminal end. Do the same to both sides here. Keep it nice and tight. I am getting ready to put the shocks in and take it off of the rolling casters that it's been on from the Jetstream lended me. So as you can see, I've got the chassis jacked up and safely on some axle stands with rags to protect the paint. I used a little bit of that neoprene rubber on the actual stand surface too, so there's no metal to metal contact. And we're ready to go ahead and unbolt these. These casters have been invaluable for moving the car around and getting under it. They're just at a really good working height. And well, on to the next phase. Okay, so I've taken the little rolling caster off, and there's my shock mount ready to go. Here is my rear shock. I had these rebuilt by Apple Hydraulics, so these are my original early rear shocks, and freshly rebuilt with new seals, and just painted it in a nice satin black as original. And of course this is original hardware, done in the black phosphate and ready to go. And I can go ahead and bolt that in. Oh, and I got these new shock links in, which again they were a little too shiny, so I dulled them down with a matching satin black to the rest of my suspension, and then replated all the hardware in the black phosphate. And there you have it, freshly installed shocks with the shock links. Everything's tightened up and secure. So we're pretty much ready to set this down on its wheels, after of course we put the wheels back on. Okay, and there she is, down on her own wheels for the first time. And she rolls super easy, super light, and should make installing the engine go smoothly. And I've got an engine hoist rented for the weekend, so look forward to installing the lump this weekend. It's all freshly rebuilt and ready to go. There's my clutch and flywheel down there, and then get the gearbox installed with the dowel pins in the corners. And once that's all bolted up, we'll hoist it up and drop her down into the car. So that'll be taking place in the next video. Until then, I'm Geoff Chrysler, a detail enthusiast. We'll see you next time.